This video shows you how to configure BMC remedy change and release management. After watching this video, you should be able to plan how to use the settings shown here to meet your organization's needs. The video covers these configuration topics: templates, which automatically populate fields and other information at each level of the change hierarchy; assignment routing, which automatically assigns a change or release request to a support group; change approvers, who approve and reject change and release requests; and risk factor questions, which a change coordinator answers to determine the risk level of a change request. Work in the change management and release management applications is organized into 5 types. The highest of these in the hierarchy is a release request, which requires approval. A release request is a collection of related change requests which require approval, and activities. The work performed for a change request or an activity is specified in smaller units called tasks, which can also be used with incident requests and problem investigations. Tasks can be performed manually or automatically. They can also be organized in task groups, which are sets of tasks that are tracked or performed together. For all of the objects in this hierarchy, you can create templates that contain information about a common type of request that your organization creates. For example, Calbro Services Release Coordinator Alan Albrook is planning the release of new ERP software. He creates a new release request and searches for a template. Alan finds a release template for new enterprise software and applies it to the request. This populates several fields in the request with values. Applying the template also populates the release manifest with change requests and activities, which are new records created from templates. Alan edits the Install and Configure New Software change request and can see that it contains 2 tasks, which were also created from templates. Alan next edits the Train Staff on New Software activity and sees that it contains a task group consisting of 3 tasks. Both the task group and the tasks were created from templates. The many templates that helped create Alan's new release request saved him considerable data entry time. He needs only to add a few more values and modify a few provided by the templates. You should plan your templates from the top down, first determining which release and change templates you need and then deciding how to break up that work. But you must create templates from the bottom up, because when you create a template, you select lower-level templates to include in it. To configure task templates, from the Custom Configuration tab on the Application Administration console, click Task Management System, then Task Configuration, and then Task Template. You can categorize your templates to help support staff find them when adding a task to a change request or activity. On the General tab, you specify the company and site to which the template applies, timeout information, commands that a user can run from the task form, and attachments such as how-to information for the task. A template can set both product and operational categorization for a task. A template can assign the task to a support group and assignee. One task can use variables to pass data to another task, and a template can specify the variables that provide input to and receive output from the task. If your template is for an automatic task, the Automatic tab appears for you to specify the automatic command that the task will perform and information necessary to execute the command. An automatic task can check the approval status of its parent change request, copy values between fields, perform addition and subtraction of field values, and more. By default, a task is considered complete and successful after it is run. If your task meets other criteria to determine its completion or success, the template can specify qualifications for each. The template can also specify financial information to calculate the cost of the task. After you save the new template, you can view which other templates are using it. You can also view internal system information about the template. To configure task group templates, from the Custom Configuration tab on the Application Administration console, click Task Management System, then Task Configuration, and then Task Group Template. Most of the information that you specify works the same as the equivalent information in a task template. A task group can be one of 2 types. A basic or sequencing task group has a fixed sequence for the tasks and task groups that it contains. An advanced or standard task group uses a more sophisticated flow mechanism to define the relationships between the tasks and task groups that it contains. At runtime, a user can change the sequence of a basic task group, but not that of an advanced task group. For a basic task group template, the only information that's new compared to a task template is associations. You specify the task templates and task group templates that this template contains and their sequence. These are called child templates. When a task group is generated from this template, tasks and task groups are also created from all of its child templates. Advanced task group templates also have a Flow tab and an Operations tab. In the Flow tab, you specify the relationships between child templates that determine their execution sequence. You can design your sequence in several ways. For example, you can include tasks that start at the same time, and you can specify a dynamic flow using qualifications. In the Operations tab, you can build data for use in the qualification that determines whether the task group was completed successfully. Use operators such as average, count, and sum against field values on child templates to build data that you can reference on the Completion tab. To configure change templates, from the Custom Configuration tab on the Application and Administration console, click Change Management, then Template, and then Template. Most of the information that you specify works the same as the equivalent information in a task template. We'll focus on the information specific to change requests. The Classification tab for a change template includes the risk level of the change and a relationship to the service configuration item, or CI, affected by the change. A template can create relationships to other CIs that you specify, such as software that the change will move. A template specifies which support groups can use it and which group can modify it. The template specifies the task and task group templates that make up the change and their sequence. You can see the child tasks of a task group. Finally, the template specifies which process flow the change request will follow. To configure activity templates, from the Custom Configuration tab on the Application Administration console, click Activity System, then Template, and then Template. The information that you specify works the same as the equivalent information in other template types. The same is true of release templates, which you can configure from the Custom Configuration tab on the Application Administration console by clicking Release Management, Template, and then Template. Assignment routing automatically assigns a request to a support group based on the attributes of the request. It runs when a new request is saved and when a user reassigns an existing request by using the auto-assign method. For example, when Francie Stafford saves this new change request with no assigned group or assignee, the system automatically assigns it to the Service Desk group and Alan Albrook. You configure assignment routing separately at the group and individual levels. For group assignment routing, from the Custom Configuration tab on the Application Administration console, click Foundation, then Configure Assignment, then Configure Application Assignment. In the Configure Assignment window, you can configure the group assignment of several roles for requests in all the ITSM applications. The General event controls the assigned group of a request in any selected system, such as you saw in the example. For change and release management, you can also use the Infrastructure Change Coordinator, Infrastructure Change Manager, and Release Coordinator events to set those roles. When a change, release, or other request triggers automatic assignment, the request is compared against the routing order criteria of each assignment record, which can include organization, location, operational categorization, and product categorization. When a request matches the routing order values and comes from one of the supported systems, the specified support group receives the selected event role. For example, Calbro Services has a simple scheme for setting the assigned group. When Calbro is the customer for a request from almost any application, the assigned group is set to their Service Desk support group. After group assignment routing has finished, the BMC Remedy assignment engine can optionally make an individual assignment to a member of the assigned group who has the necessary functional role for the group. For example, the assignment engine can set the change coordinator from within the coordinator group and the change manager from within the manager group. The assignment engine can make individual assignments using the following processes. The capacity process uses the capacity rating that you specify on the people profiles of your support staff to indicate how many requests or tickets each person can handle simultaneously. Whoever has the lowest ratio of currently assigned tickets to capacity receives the assignment. The number process assigns the ticket to the person who has the lowest number of currently assigned tickets. The round-robin process assigns the tickets to the person who has gone the longest without an assignment, ensuring a repeated rotation. To configure individual assignment for change management, from the Custom Configuration tab on the Application Administration console, click Change Management, then Advanced Options, and then Rules. In the record for your company, or for the global company, set Assignment Engine Integration to Yes, and select an assignment process for the Change Implementer, Change Manager, and Change Coordinator roles. Individual assignment configuration works the same for release management, except that Release Coordinator is the only role that needs an assignment process. In People Profiles, you can set a person as unavailable for automatic assignments for one or more of their support groups. Use this feature for vacations and other temporary situations where a person can't perform their usual workload for a support group. Change and release requests require approval at several phases. When a request changes state, the system checks the defined approval processes to determine whether an approval happens at that state, and if so, checks the defined approval mappings to determine which person or group provides that approval. For example, when Francie Stafford moves her new change request to the Request for Authorization state, the approval phase indicator changes from Next to Current, and Mary Mann appears in the reviewer table, indicating that Mary must approve the request before it can move to the next state. Francie can change the table view to Future Approvers and see who must approve her request at each approval stage. The best practice approval processes installed for change requests work well for most companies. They implement a 4-phase approval lifecycle for most change requests. You must map an approver to each phase that you want to use. If a change request reaches a state where an approval phase applies, but no approver is mapped to that phase for the change request, no approver is assigned to the request, and it can move to the next state without approval. To configure approval mappings, from the Custom Configuration tab on the Application Administration console, click Change Management, then Approval, and then Approval Mappings. Select the approval phase that you are mapping. Select an individual or support group to act as an approver. If you select a support group for a change approval mapping, any member of that group who has the Infrastructure Change Approver functional role can perform the approvals. Save the mapping. If you want this person or group to approve only certain change requests at this phase, edit the mapping where more fields are now visible. Enter criteria that a change request must match for this mapping to apply. These criteria can include the location, organization, or CI affected by the change. They can also include the operational categorization of the change request and the product categorization of related CIs. You can also match a change request to an approval mapping based on the organization and support group of the people who are assigned to various roles for the change request. Finally, you can specify several miscellaneous advanced criteria, such as configuring courtesy notifications based on risk level. For example, this mapping requires the change management support group to approve change requests with a risk level of 2 and lower, but they will also receive notification of requests with a risk level of 3 and higher, which a separate mapping assigns to another approver. If you need to temporarily change your automatic approval routing, you can disable a mapping by setting assignment availability to no. Release requests have a different set of best practice approval phases, but approval mappings for release requests work the same way as those for change requests. When you save a new change request, the system automatically computes its risk level based on derived risk factors such as the priority of related CIs and the performance rating of the assigned change manager. For example, this change request received the highest risk level, 5. But you can refine the risk level based on the change coordinator's answers to weighted risk factor questions that you define. Change coordinator Alan Albrook performs a risk assessment on this request, and as a result, its risk level decreases. To configure risk factor questions, from the Custom Configuration tab on the Application Administration console, click Change Management, then Risk Factors, and then Change Risk Selection. You can create different sets of questions for change requests from different companies or with different operational categorization. A question can have up to 5 answers, each mapping to a risk value from 1 to 5. Yes or no questions are simpler to answer, but multiple choice questions provide more possible answers, so phrase your questions according to how important this detail is to you. You also specify a weight for the question to determine its importance relative to other risk factors. When a change coordinator answers these questions for a change request, the risk value of each answer is multiplied by the question's risk weight and then added to the equivalent results from other questions and from any applicable derived risk factors. This number is divided by the total weight to get the risk level for the change request. We hope this video has helped you understand how to configure BMC Remedy change and release management. Thank you for watching.